Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast.
What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Happy Monday. It is draft month. You should have some drafts coming around. Maybe you had some drafts this past weekend. Maybe you got some drafts this weekend. Maybe you're just a maniac and have drafts in the middle of the week like I do. My main league drafts on a Thursday night every year. That's just kind of how it works for everybody. We get everybody come in live in-person draft. I prefer in-person drafts, but to each their own. I think if you can get everybody there, that is the absolute best. Today's episode, though, I'm going over fantasy values, and these are values, not exactly late round values, but they're all after round 6, and they go as late as to round 12. These are running backs, wide receivers. I have a tight end. These are my top 5 favorite fantasy values, and these are guys you can get, if you want to. These are guys you can be able to leave every single draft with if you want to reach a little bit. I'm not saying you have to reach a little bit, but these are guys that the ADP is just right, okay? And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is our favorite place to play fantasy football. Take your whole league over there, guys. They now got dynamic payouts where you can guess the higher, the lower, all that fun stuff. Enter promo code DUDES100. They'll match up to $100, guys. But other than the DFS stuff they got there, they also are the best place to play fantasy football. You can do 3-way trades. Great for dynasty football. They've got a chat. All that good stuff. Sleeper is the absolute best place for fantasy football. I can't stress that enough. Go over there, take your whole league. You will not regret it. I promise you that. So, first here on my list of fantasy values, guys, I've been talking about them a lot for a while. I'm pretty much taking them in every single draft I'm in, but I got Rico Dowdle, guys. His ADP is 148. He's getting drafted after Ezekiel Elliott. Rico Dowdle, guys. The Cowboy beat reporters, they love Rico Dowdle. They're saying he looks explosive, and this is just an offense that I want to get as many pieces from it that I can. The Cowboys averaged 27.5 points per game last season. That was 4th in the NFL, led the NFL in third down conversion rate at 45.5%, and they led the NFL in red zone efficiency. Now, I do think Zeke will be the red zone back. I think he's going to get all those goal line carries, but Zeke is going at his ADP is 115. Rico Dowdle's ADP is at 148. You're getting the running back that's getting the ball within the 20s, and maybe more comes out of that. But beat reporters really like him. They say he's explosive. I think he's the back you're going to want to get over there in Dallas, and or you can get Zeke and just pray for a touchdown run every single game. I think Rico is going to have the opportunity to be a good fantasy running back, and at 148, he really isn't going to hurt your team, and you should be able to get that very easily right there. And next on my list, guys, I have Najee Harris. I am very high on Najee Harris. I know a lot of you are probably like, ew, gross. No, not Najee Harris. Or, oh, Arthur Smith does not know what he's doing with running backs. There's a lot of reasons to not like Najee Harris. Maybe you like Jaylen Warren. And a lot of guys actually, beat reporters, think Jaylen Warren's better. But do we expect Arthur Smith to play the better running back? Does Jaylen Warren seem like the type of running back that Mike Tomlin will even play? Here's the deal. I think the Steelers like Najee Harris. There's not a lot of running backs like Najee Harris in the NFL, not built like him. There's Derrick Henry, and there might be one other guy that has that built. Maybe we could say A.J. Dillon has that built, and A.J. Dillon's not a good example. That's not running backs we're looking for fantasy football, but Najee Harris is built a little bit different than your average NFL running back. The Pittsburgh Steelers have invested in their offensive line the last 2 years of the NFL draft, taking offensive linemen in the first round. I think they want to ground and pound. They want to do some play action, which feeds perfect into Najee Harris. I think Warren will be involved a little bit. Let me give you some history here of Arthur Smith running backs, okay? Arthur Smith's history with running backs. Derrick Henry, when he was OC in Tennessee, he had 1,540 rushing yards. 2020, Derrick Henry had 2,027 rushing yards. And here's an even crazier one for you. Cordero Patterson. Remember his crazy fantasy run in 2001 where he was scoring all those touchdowns? That was an Arthur Smith, product of Arthur Smith. Tyler Algier, first rookie in Falcons history to rush over 1,000 yards. I know Arthur Smith dropped the ball with Bijan last year. Bijan was under 1,000 yards. I know we were all pulling our hair out going like, please give Bijan the ball. Please give Bijan the ball. I believe Najee Harris is just going to be the guy in Pittsburgh. Give Najee, he's on a contract year. We love guys on contract years. Hungry dogs run faster, they say. So Najee Harris is going to be the hungry dog there. Mike Tomlin committed to running the ball, using play action. The Steelers, like I said, invest in the offensive line, first 2 rounds, and Tomlin favors 12 personnel, guys. He loves 12 personnel. Not a huge slot receiver guy. So when I say 12 personnel, this one might make you, not feel too great. I got Pat Freiermuth. Okay, Pat Freiermuth, 12 personnel. And when you got Najee Harris, you got Pat Freiermuth blocking for him. You have Darnell Washington. Okay, those are 2 tight ends that can be there to block. Russell Wilson, whether he's the quarterback or Justin Fields, I would prefer Justin Fields be the quarterback in Pittsburgh for all the receivers involved. But Russell Wilson showed a little bit, of being able to get tight ends the ball. He can dink and dunk, just run the ball with Najee, dump it off to Pat Freiermuth. And before you turn this thing off, be like, this guy's an absolute whack job. I do not want Pat Freiermuth. His ADP is 125, guys, which is really nice. I know Jordan's probably listening to this pod just being like, oh my goodness, Trent is all in on the Steelers offense. This is absolutely terrible. Arthur Smith's history tight ends. Jonnu Smith in 2020, 41 receptions, 448 yards. Doesn't sound great. 8 touchdown catches for Jonnu Smith in 2020. Kyle Pitts, 2021, 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie. I know last year Kyle Pitts wasn't great, but Freiermuth's ADP is so much lower than Pitts last year. Last year, Pitts ADP was between 35 and 45. You can get a tight end in Arthur Smith's offense at a much, much lower ADP at 125. And I don't want to leave drafts with guys this late. But if all those tight ends are taken, you're like, man, personally, my favorite late round tight end, Dalton Schultz. You got CJ Stroud. I know there's a lot of weapons there in Houston, but that's kind of my last guy I want to take. If you can't get Dalton Schultz, I think Pat Freiermuth's a guy over there in Pittsburgh that could very easily be a top 12 tight end. Do you have to do a lot to be a top 12 tight end? Not necessarily. But that's why I think he can crack that top 12. He can become a tight end 1 where you're like, hey, this wasn't all that bad. And he might be a guy that's even on your waiver wire after draft. So Pat Freiermuth, don't be worried to wait for Pat Freiermuth if you can't get Dalton Schultz at the absolute end. But I really think Pat Freiermuth can have a really good season here in Pittsburgh. It sounds like they aren't going to get Ayuk. I'm still a little early here. I'm recording this Saturday night. They don't get Ayuk. They got George Pickens. They have Roman Wilson. Pat Freiermuth is a nice security blanket for whoever the quarterback is over there in Pittsburgh. Next on my list, I have Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed. I love all the wide receivers in Green Bay because do we really know who the main guy is? I don't know if we really know. What I do know about Jayden Reed is, though, he was averaging 12 yards per catch last season. It's a crowded room. He had a good rookie year, though, and he should continue to excel in this high-powered Packers offense. This could be the very last year that you can get Jayden Reed for cheap. I still like Christian Watson. A lot of people like Romeo Doubs. I think Jayden Reed, with all the big plays he made last year, I still think ADP of 70. Go out there, you can get Jayden Reed. Jordan Love's another guy that's going just way too late in these fantasy drafts. So I got Jayden Reed there, ADP 70, Packers pass catcher. You guys head over to YouTube at tffdudes. I got all the stuff here on the screen. You want to check that out. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps us out. And then we got a few more, and we got one more here, guys. And just remember, go over to trophysmack.com/dudes. Get that new trophy for your fantasy football league. They now got a brand new helmet. You can get a Trophy Smack helmet for your league, a trophy for winning a champion. Think of a trophy that actually fits your head as a helmet that you can wear to the draft. It might look like a meathead, but fantasy's forever, guys. Fantasy's forever. Get a trophy, get a helmet. Maybe you got a nice, nice hog, Harley Davidson, ride it with that, fantasy football trophy championship helmet on your head. That's kind of cool. It's got a visor, all that good stuff. Head to trophysmack.com/dudes, 15% off your whole entire order. Next, I got Jameson Williams, guys. Jameson Williams. I love this Detroit Lions offense. The Lions have produced league winners for fantasy the last 2 years. Last year, it was Laporta and David Montgomery. The year before, it was Jamal Williams. Can Jameson Williams be the next to shine? He's a guy that big play wide receiver They play all their games on turf. His first year, he had an ACL injury, hardly played. His second year, he got suspended for, doing a little DFS, and I think we're all a little guilty of that, but not encouraging players to do DFS, guys. That's not what I'm saying. But just be smart about it always, of course. But Jameson Williams, he's going so late in drafts. Jared Goff's he's a kid in the candy store, just throwing whoever he wants. So I love all these Lions targets, all these wide receivers, pass catchers, Jameson Williams, the deep threat. Everyone's be concentrating on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Don't forget, they traded up to pick 12 to take Jameson Williams while he had a bad ACL. So absolutely, Jameson Williams, big play guy there in Detroit for an offense that is going to be very electric, has a lot of dome games. He's a track star. I don't know if he's a track star. He looks like he is. He's very fast. He's the burner there, guys. He's the big play guy. Doesn't take a lot. Take Jared Goff, stack him with Jameson Williams, whatever you got to do. This guy's going too late in drafts to not be grabbing him, and I think he can pay off. His ADP is 110, guys. So 110. Again, I don't think these are all guys with fantasy value. I think he can take, and I don't think he'll be mad any of them are on your team. So again, reading this whole list off, guys, I had Rico Dowdle, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris, Jayden Reed, and Jameson Williams. Those are my top 5 favorite fantasy values. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps us out. If you guys like this episode, you like me coming to you on a, Monday morning for, 8 to 15 minutes. Okay. I guess that's good. If you don't like it, let me know. I'm sure you guys want more time. Maybe you don't want more time. Let me know what was right with this, what was wrong with this. Leave me a comment on YouTube at tffdudes. And as always, guys, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.